Hey guys, welcome back to Etheria Restart. So we are less than 24 hours away from the global launch at the time of recording this, and we do have the updated tier list over on Pridewin for the global launch, taking into account all the balance changes that happened in the pre-launch patch. So we're going to go through it. Just note, obviously tier list is subject to change, and the game has had very short betas, and the test build that everything was tested on has all maxed characters. So as you progress through, some of these may have variants in the way you play the game, but I like tier lists just as a way to go ahead and chat about characters and the way they function. I'm not going to sit here and nitpick one position or another. I don't think it's that worth it. Like I said, I just like being able to have a nice format to look at characters, talk about them, talk about their strengths and weaknesses. If something's tier 0 in something and tier 4 in something else, it's obviously that's where they're going to be good. Whether they should be tier 0.5, who really cares at the end of the day? Now, if you want to check out this tier list, jump over to Pridewin. I'll leave it linked in the description. They do have different sections of the tier list for general PvE, the threshold bosses, which is like your main gear farming dungeons, and then we have the union boss, which is going to be your main like real damage check PvE mode, and then PvP as well. I do think PvP could be split into normal arena and RTA because they are kind of different metas, but you know, a lot of the characters that are good in one will still remain good in the other, so that's okay. If you want to look at it in a different view and you just want to look at your favorite character and say, oh, Lily's my favorite character, oh look at that, she's tier 0 everywhere, like you can do that too. Sorry for those that know I'm re-rolling for Lily. Lily's just fun, all right? I apologize, but yes, we're going to look at it in this view just because it's a bit easier. Let's just talk about different characters. Now, I'm not going to go into the threshold different ones because those are very specific, and at the end of the day with the thresholds, take into account that if you are off element, you're basically not usable in them, and if you're strong element and you have the things that are needed for them, you're going to be pretty strong. So I'm not going to go into these because that's more of a individual boss guide thing. I don't think a tier list is necessary for understanding these bosses, because all you need to do is get a team that can clear it on auto, and then who gives a shit if you're using tier 2 units? As long as you can clear it and you're getting the gear, nothing else really matters. So for PvE, we'll look at general PvE, we'll touch on the union boss, and we'll talk about PvP, but I may end up just talking about everything combined when we just look at this list anyway, because I just start rambling, and it is what it is. I'm sorry guys. So we're kicking off in the general PvE range. Messiah. Now, I haven't used him in a playthrough through PvE. I think his invincibility, he's got a big AoE with an invincibility. He's got ignored defense damage. I think the invincibility might help him a little bit, but not crazy amounts. He's just got big damage in his neutral element, which makes him just good in every general scenario. Then he's actually honestly just a PvP beast. The dude, his ignore defense and his scaling is just massive, so that's why he's going to be a massive PvP unit. I still don't recommend rerolling for him. I think Lily, Heinrich, and Mio, that's the other thing I just want to quickly touch on. They have the changelog. They're not including Mio or Mizuki in here because we haven't had them to test. I would anticipate Mio, who is the new light unit that is going to be available at launch. I'm anticipating her to be in Doki Doki tier 0, in PvP tier 0 or 0.5, probably tier 0, and general PvE probably tier 0 or 0.5 as well, because she is just pretty much a monster with her kit. So that is what I would anticipate. The rest of it, they go through some of the changes, but that's neither here nor there. Let's just go through what it actually is. Next up, we have Rosa. Rosa is absolutely amazing for just about all PvE content except for Teramaton. She's going to be useful just about everywhere. She has a crit buff, she has an AoE speed slow, she has follow-up attacks that she will use, and her basic attack has a gauge push. Now that got reduced from 10% to 8%, but it's still absolutely amazing, so I wouldn't be stressing too much about her. Heinrich, the best stripper in the game currently, usable just about everywhere in the game, and pretty strong everywhere in the game, as you can see with all the tier 0s and the one tier 0.5. Dude is a monster. The passive strip is a big thing. His skill 3 has a 3 hitter, and then each hit has a passive chance to strip, so he can strip up to 3 buffs. There is no unit in the game that's just like AoE, remove all buffs from all enemies. So he is the best option that we have. He also has wound, which blocks healing, and block, which blocks buffs, and those are 2 really nice effects to have. And then he also has a unique debuff that he puts on his enemies, which is going to increase the chance that they can get crit, and also the crit damage when they do get crit. So the dude is just an absolute monster, and neutral element, meaning he's not weak against anyone. Then we have Kloss. Kloss is honestly, she's one of those characters where when I think about rerolling or using my selector, I never think about using it on her. But it's like if you pull her, especially if you pull her early, she just makes life so easy. They adjusted the way she works. So now she used to have a unique speed debuff. So you used to be able to stack really high speed debuffs because you could do the normal speed debuff plus her unique one in her, I think it's called hacking or whatever it is. They removed that and just gave her a speed debuff. So now her skill 3 is AoE defense break with speed debuff. Really good. And then she's got gauge reduction on her skill 2 as well, plus a unique buff that's going to give you more damage mitigation and damage amplification. Kloss is an absolute monster. Once again, one of those ones that I have trouble thinking about using a selector or anything on, but she's just a great unit. And I've pulled her in the last 2 betas and used her everywhere once I got her. Freya is the first rate up banner. I wouldn't recommend pulling on the rate up banner straight away. She's the kind of one, once you feel like you don't want to pull on the standard banner anymore, but you still want Freya, that is when I would go to the Freya banner because she is available on the standard banner as well. She's good at PvP with her attack buff, gauge boosting, gauge reduction. And I just think she's a general good unit. But I found myself replacing her a lot in my teams when I was playing through. I kind of didn't use her anywhere when I got to the end of the last beta, but she still is a very strong unit. She's just, I feel like she needed a slight buff in the last patch, but she got a slight nerf, which is kind of strange to me, but she's still very easy to splash into just about any team. She's got attack up, defense up, some pseudo immunity, which really kind of sucks, but then she has gauge up for your allies whenever they receive a buff, gauge down for your enemies whenever they receive a debuff. Really strong unit, but once again, just not my personal favorite unit, but still definitely not a bad pickup if you want to get her from her rate up after you're done summoning on the standard banner. Then we have Lily. This is my personal favorite character alongside Tiamat in the game. She gives Twin Trick to an ally, which means they're going to attack with her when she uses her basic attack. It's really, really nice. And it's that skill 2 that gives them the Twin Trick. It also gives all her allies a speed buff. On top of that, after her turn, any ally with Twin Trick, which can only be one ally, will get their gauge boosted, which is nice. Her basic attack will boost the gauge of the lowest ally, which is also really nice, along with bringing that Twin Trick ally along for their basic attack. And then her skill 3 is going to reduce, or if you got it skilled up, reset the cooldowns for the Twin Trick ally and also increase cooldowns for her enemies. Lily is a monster. I really love her. I am biased though, so don't listen to me. Hellkid's honestly an amazing character. His skill 3 is a massive shield that scales on his attack. So you do want to build him attack would be my play for him. Maybe even put a defense slot in there so that he, gets a bit of defensiveness as well while still having bulky shield. There's different ways you can build him, but this guy, big shield, which also gives immunity to your teammates while they have this shield active. His skill 2 is an attack break. His skill 1 is a 50% chance to land stun. It goes up to 100 when he has his shield active. So, and that's single target, but still it is really nice. I do like pairing him with something like Lily to get him attacking with that basic attack more stunning, but really good unit. Next up, we have Ling Lo. Now, she got a little buff in the last patch, but she is an absolutely fantastic healer. As you can see, T0 across the board, except Terramonton because she's off element. Basically, she's got healing, she's got immunity, she's got cleansing, she's got buff extension, and yeah, she's just honestly a real monster. If there's nothing that she can cleanse, because her cleanse is a passive, if there's nothing that she can cleanse, she will instead then put these like little heal buffs on her allies, which can then tick when they take their turn and give them extra healing. Really nice for stacking buffs because, as I mentioned earlier, there is no just genuine stripper that removes all buffs from all enemies. So being able to stack all these tiny little buffs with her that are bait for strips is actually really fantastic in the current state of the game. Big heals. Like I said, she's got so much utility as a healer. She's fantastic. You get her for free at 7 days. Great unit. Make use of her. Then we have Lian. Lian is your free unit that you get. I always use her at the start, but by the time I pull a few, if I could speak, by the time I pull a few units in every playthrough, I've kind of just lent away from her. She is still really good for Terramonton and stuff like that. She's good for PvP, especially early game. She's going to be good for PvP, and in that general PvE, as you can see, she's strong there because because everyone has her. She's got gauge reduction or gauge stealing, which is really nice. She's got second attack, which is a multi-hitter, which is good on single target, also good on AoE because it can hit multiple if you want to. She's got some self-sustainability as well. She's really nice, but she's not like my favorite unit overall. Like I said, I normally end up replacing her, but you will get slaughtered by her in arena if someone is faster than you. It's just something that you have to go through in the game because everyone has her and most people are building her. There's also beginner missions that make you get her to 5-star and skill up one of her skills 2 times. I personally use my free reset to reset her and get those cubes back from the skill ups, but up to you if you want to do that. Then we have Rahu. This man, I absolutely love this man. When you look at him, it's like tier 4, tier 1, tier 1, 0.5, 0.5, and then you finally get the 0 in PvP. I think this guy's just a universally feels good character to play. He's defense based. He has a defense buff. He uses these follow attacks. He can do massive damage in the Union boss on a single target sustained fight, which is huge. And then there is a shell, which is going to allow him to put a big shield on himself and the ally with the lowest HP, which is based on defense. And his defense scales so high because he also has another form of passive defense buffing effect in his kit, which is absolutely huge. Then we go on to the rest of them. Shadow Sanya. Now, she is a dark unit, widely considered like the worst of the light dark units. It's because she's pretty niche. Like, she's fixed to that poison playstyle, and unfortunately, like you can see, she's tier 5 in Union boss. You'll find just bosses along the way that are just straight immune to poisons, and she's just kind of left in the dark there. I thought it being the dark poisoner, I thought it would have been interesting if she had some mechanic where, if enemies are immune to poisons, she just deals true damage or something like that. I feel like she needed something. Her big downfall is literally that there's just some enemies is like, oh no, you can't poison them, and she's just like, oh fuck, what do I do now? That's pretty much the gist there. Moving on to Tiamat. Now, Tiamat is one of my favorite. I fell in love with this game by playing Tiamat with Lily in a beta, like 2 betas ago, and I still love that playstyle. Even though Tiamat did get a nerf, there's a lot of discussion talking about, Tiamat fell off and stuff like that. I'm probably still going to get her on my account because I just find her to be a really fun character. Her skill 3 is an AoE taunt where she sacrifices HP. Her skill 2 is, once again, sacrifices HP to put a shield and heal over time on all her allies. I've been petitioning to try and get her auto AI to use her skill 2 first because she is a fantastic support when she does. She is a suicidal maniac when she uses her skill 3 first. It's annoying as hell. Hopefully they change it, or they give us options that we can choose skill priority. But yeah, Tiamat, when she uses her skill 2 first, is an absolute beast. Every time she gains or loses a certain amount of HP, it starts at 15, goes down to about 13 or 12. I can't remember the exact number. But as she gains and loses HP based on her max HP, she will gain stacks of a unique buff, which increases her healing received. When she hits 8 stacks, she turns into a dragon form. And then she's got 1 attack, which is the basic attack, which does big AoE damage based on her max HP. So she's one of those max HP damage dealing bruiser type units. I love her. I always enjoy playing with her, but she did get a bit of a nerf. Moving on from that, we have Jada. Now, Jada is one who got a buff. She was already mathematically the best AoE DPS for sustained DPS. She has her own defense break on her skill 3. She has a passive where every time she receives a buff, every time she receives 3 buffs, she evolves her flames, which enhances her gives her extra, I think it was crit damage and attack. And then once she enhances them, it also is going to reduce the current cooldown and max cooldown of her skill 3, which is an AoE defense break. But on top of that, with each evolution, she's also going to do an extra hit of it. And so if you get enough buffs into her, she essentially has a spammable skill 3 AoE defense break. Really, really nice. I do really hope I pull her on the global so I can build her, because she's one I've done a lot of theory crafting on, and I think I can make magic work with her. Then we have Dinah. Now, Dinah is your SR damage amplification unit. She is just, as you can see, Aurora and Teramaton, she's tier 0 for those. Because her amplification is so big, she enables you to do one-shot comps. That is once you get better gear and everything like that, and get well built up. But she just has so much damage amplification, and it's AoE as well. Her skill 3 is basically her entire kit, and she just allows you to nuke enemies as long as they don't have immunity on them. Gray is another SR unit that you all get for free, and you'll start with him. He's got a really nice effect where his skill 2 grants crit rate buff to all allies and then grants him an extra turn. His skill 3 is an AoE defense break. It's an AoE attack. If it crits, it does an extra hit with a defense break on it. So the cool thing is they're both 3-turn cooldowns, but because he has the grant extra turn in his kit, it effectively means they're on 2-turn cooldowns, which is really nice. Allows him to be consistent dealing AoE damage. Really good in that sense. Marvel used to be, or Marvel, used to be tier 0. He did get a nerf. He's got a big AoE skill 3, which reduces enemies turn gauge by 40% now, puts speed, slow, and resistance down on them. Now, it used to max skill be 4-turn cooldown. Now it's up to 5-turn cooldown, and that is why he's dropped a little bit. He's just going to be a bit harder to use. Now, there are some gear sets that you can get, like Time Weave and a Shell Halloween. You can try mixing up those things to help him get cooldown reduction so he can get around to it more often, but still a great PvE progression unit. Still annoying in PvP, but I don't think he's going to be like anything godly in PvP. Once the game has been out for a little bit longer, you can still see that he is great in Doki Doki and Terramaton over there. Then we have Beonton. Now, Beonton is another fantastic. And you'll hear me saying that everything is good and everything is fantastic because literally there's a few SRs that I don't really like. I feel like every SSR in the game has this position where they're really good. So it feels like there's not a bad pull in the game really at the moment in terms of SSRs. That like everything just feels strong. And maybe it's not across the board because not everything is going to be strong everywhere, but everything has a place where they feel really strong. Beonton, she's got attack buff and crit damage buff. Really, really nice. Good amplifying, especially when you look to Aurora and Terramaton doing one-shot teams. Fantastic there. She has her own unique buff, which is passively. She will revive allies if she has stacks of the buff, which is great. Then she can also grant allies an extra turn, which is just, she's just got a lot in her kit. I think she's absolutely fantastic in general. I think she's going to be an RTA monster, plus once again with those speed comps, great. Then we have Chiaki the Echo. She's your budget gauge booster. She boosts your gauge and attack buff. Really, really nice. She also has a passive that's going to give you attack buff, meaning that gives I think it's 2 random allies an attack buff. So she's like the best unit for something like Gray, who's using extra turns, so he's going to be shredding his own buffs off quicker. So she's a great buffer for having high uptime on attack buffs. If they already have attack buff, when she gives another one, she's going to give them an extra benefit. I forgot what it's actually called, but it's like after they take action, allies gain attack gauge. They're immune to attack gauge reduction, stuff like that. She's just a really, really solid unit, and she is a rate up along with Dinah and Kraken, who we will see in a minute. They are all rate ups, SRs on the Freya banner as well. If you want to try and get some of those later on after you're done on the standard banner. Doki Doki, you can see 0.5s across the board. She's one of those ones, I feel like she needs like a really good comp. She actually pairs really well with Jada. But Doki Doki has 2 skills that sort of they pulse on allies. One is going to increase the turn gauge of the lowest ally, and also like so it'll do a boost on one ally, and then if they move ahead of the other ally, it'll do the next lowest, and so on and so forth. It's a really unique gauge boosting type mechanic that she has, and she also gives herself a buff, a stacking buff, where when an ally starts their turn, if she has stacks of this buff, she will remove debuffs from them before their action starts. Really, really good cleanser. And then her skill 2 is going to do that same sort of thing, pulsing on allies, but now it pulses based on how much cooldowns they have, and it's going to reduce cooldowns. Also, another fantastic effect there. And then we have Tsukiyomi. Tsukiyomi is kind of like Lily, but a little bit different. Her skill 3 is going to boost an ally by 100% and then give the team attack buff and speed buff, which is honestly really, really nice. Her skill 2, she does damage based on defense, which is also going to reduce cooldowns. And then her skill 1 is when she attacks, she's actually going to boost the gauge of the ally with the highest attack. So she has a lot of similarities to Lily as well, and I think she's another fantastic unit. Now we jump into the healers. Mia, great. She got a bunch of buffs. I think what did they do? They reduced the cooldown of her skill 2, which is a strip and gauge reduction. Really, really strong effect to have buff removal and gauge reduction. I'm pretty sure, after I've been saying this, she doesn't deals to all enemies. Each segment has a 50% chance. Yeah, so she's the same. So as you can see, like it's again, like you don't have just a remove all buffs. She does 2 hits and each has a chance to remove a buff. So it's about as good as you're going to get. But if you can strip and then also reduce turn meter at the same time, like that is a very, very powerful effect. It's just that if they have immunity and more buffs, then you may not get round to removing the buff that you actually want to remove. But she is definitely another fantastic unit. And also coming with the heals as well. Obviously, we got Sanya, got a bit of a nerf. She was not working as intended. So unfortunately, she used to be able to passively heal allies at the end of her turn, even when she was controlled. Now she can't do it when she's controlled, but she can increase max HP. She has a revive. She has that passive heal. She increases her own turn gauge when max skilled by 30% at the end of her turns. Just a really solid SR healer. Moving on from that, we have Valerian. Now, Valerian is another one that is absolutely fantastic. I know I say that a lot, but like, they're all really good. I can't help it. She has, if you need to max skill her third skill to make her functional, in my opinion, and she'll start in this dream state where if an ally would die, she instead comes out of the dream state and gives them basically a cheat death. Allies get a shield every time they have a turn while she's in that state as well. On top of that, her skill 2 is an invincibility buff. So Valerian really strong in general. And she's one of those ones, like, sometimes you may not see the use for her, but you got to play around with her to really get a feel for it. She was great at countering, like, cleave comps in arena and stuff like that. But yeah, another unit definitely to experiment with there. Then we move down over here. What I might do is I might move in, because I feel like I'm taking a long as hell time. I'm going to try and turbo through these guys. Born, converts attack into HP, so he's a tanky bruiser with pretty decent damage. He's also got a spell on his skill 3. Ditting the highest damage, I think he's the highest damage burst damage out of anyone. I'm not too sure if it's that, but very high damage, especially for a neutral element. SR as well, like absolutely massive. He used to be up there with Victor. I mean, Victor used to be up there above him, but Victor got a massive nerf, so he's kind of fallen off a bit, and Ditting's kind of doing a little bit better, except Ditting kind of sucks at PvP. There is certain situations in which he can work really well. Fangus, actually really good damage. He's a dot playstyle, but he has follow-up attacks, and you can actually build him for crit damage, and he actually does great damage without needing those poisons. Rin is another really good one. Now, this is the odd Rin, the blue Rin. She's got AoE damage and single target damage based on speed as well, so she actually scales really well. And you know, when you get damage out of speed, it's always one of those feels good things. So honestly, she's actually a pretty decent option for free to plays if you don't really pull any other DPS that you kind of want to build. The next one here is Chloros. Now you can see he's tier 0 in Union Boss. This dude's damage is insane, at least the theoretical damage on calculations, and he got a buff, so it's even more insane. I think he's going to struggle in PvP. Compared to some of the other DPS, because it takes him time to ramp up. I'm going to experiment with builds if I do pull him, because I think you can make him work in PvP. He's got a block revive as well, which is a really nice effect. But this guy, if you're looking for a guild boss damage dealer, this is the man for you. Absolute monster. Now, Selene is very interesting. She has a shield, a passive shield that she applies to allies, but it's not like a genuine shield. It absorbs half the damage they would have taken. So it's not like a proper shield, but it absorbs partial and reflects some as well. Reflects damage back at the enemies, which is a nice kind of effect. She also has a unique debuff, which is she can apply via AoE, which can block passive effects, which is really good. The one problem is, I would love it if her passive block was like a passive baked into her kit and not a debuff she had to land. Because I feel like if she had, like, you know, blocks passives for everyone on the battlefield, that'd be really cool. But because immunity is going to be a thing, she needs accuracy to land the debuff. The debuff can be cleansed. It's a little bit unreliable. So I do think, you know, she's a sleepy unit that might become amazing, but I think she's my least wanted. Honestly, she's my least wanted along with Born in terms of the SSRs. Born more so just because there's some other good blue DPS that I really want. And so if he was another element, I'd probably want him more, but yeah, there's just too many good blues. Kaz here is kind of not that great. She's actually decent in some of the challenge PvE modes. She has an AoE sleep on a 3-turn cooldown with also having attack break. Her basic attack when max skilled is a 2-turn sleep. And then her passive is if someone's asleep and she attacks them, she pushes their gauge back and doesn't wake them up. So she's really, really good for the Doki Doki fight because you need to control the enemies in that fight to take damage mitigation off of them. But then she's also really nice in some of those PvE modes where they're challenge modes where you're playing on manual. And then for PvP, in RTA, I got slapped by her in one match where I just didn't get to wake up the whole match. So she does have her uses there as well. We got Kraken, AoE freeze, single target freeze that can be a 2-turn freeze, defense break on the basic attack, really nice general unit. I used this guy in my Doki Doki team, fantastic. The problem is between him and Kaz is that Kaz brings the attack break, but you can wake the enemies up. But she's got a 3-turn cooldown. For him, they can't wake up. They're frozen. It's just ripped to them. But it is a 4-turn cooldown, which is the issue. And he doesn't have that attack break to mitigate damage either. Veronica has done full circle in the game. She was really strong. They nerfed her. They tried to bring her back a little bit. Now they've pretty much reverted her. She can steal buffs off an enemy, steal all buffs off an enemy, and then spread them to her allies. You can do some really crazy strats like spreading invincibility to your allies, make unkillable teams and stuff like that. She's pretty cool. General good unit. RTA is going to be her bread and butter though, in my opinion. Turandot, she is your budget stripper for the red element. She's got a 4-hitter on her skill 2, which can remove buffs off the enemy, also reduces the turn gauge. Her skill 3 is an attack buff and a defense buff for her whole team, and then her skill 1 gives herself an accuracy buff. Really synergistic if they could just program her AI to use her skill 2 first, because that's going to be very important in Teramaton and Aurora when you get to Inferno farming. On that Yang, honestly, I know he's got like a crit buff, and I'm going to be honest. This dude I don't know too much about because I just found him underwhelming when I played him, and I never really dove too deep into him after that. Then we have Chiaki. This is the red Chiaki. This is another healer Chiaki. She got a bunch of buffs as well, so her healing output is going to be even better now. But, you know, I think Sanya still wins out just because Sanya has so much unique stuff with that max HP increase, the passive healing that she does at the end of the turn with a cleanse, you know, the gauge boosting. I think she just falls out. Plus the element red for healing isn't quite on par with having green and then getting blue, so that's why she's down there. Then we have Ramelka. Ramelka is basically just your easy mode Doki Doki character. She just basically slaps that. And then we have Lilith. Lilith has AoE bombs, got stuns, got gauge reduction, got AoE slows. She's got a chance to get extra turn on her basic. I really like this character, but she's kind of more fitted to hard PvE modes, Doki Doki, and then maybe PvP in the right situation. I think she's one of those ones when you play a bunch of RTA, if you know an enemy's not going to have immunity, then you bring her and you can really punish them for that. I'm not going to go through absolutely everyone else on the list. I feel like I've covered just about everyone that I really wanted to. Actually, Viper. Viper is an amazing free-to-play AoE stripper with revenge attacks. I think Viper's an absolute monster. This Rin is also really decent with AoE taunts. You got a shield, a defense buff, great damage mitigator essentially. But yeah, that's kind of the extent of where I want to go to. We've talked about just about every character. Like I said, I've moused over them so you can see where they are in every aspect of the game as we talk about them. But once again, if you want to look at a specific aspect of the game, you can come over here. You can see like Rahu's a beast here, Tiamat's a beast here, Union Boss, this is where Chloros gets his real value. Or once again, if you're just curious on a specific character, you can come to table view and you can go down and you can check how they're rated in all the different aspects of the game. Now, there are more aspects of the game than this, but I think you just end up having too many tier lists in the end. But anyway, guys, that is it for the updated tier list. Sorry it was a bit of me rambling, but I just enjoy talking about characters. I'm just super stoked for this launch and I can't wait. But as always, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Cheers.